Big news out of the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice of the United States of America just issued a rare statement on President Trump's call to impeach the judge in his Alien Enemies Act case. I want to go straight to Paula Reed. Paula, wow, this is a very big deal.
This is a huge deal. Here you have Chief Justice John Roberts appearing to push back on statements President Trump made earlier today, suggesting that a judge, James Boasberg, who of course temporarily blocked deportations by the Trump administration, or at least tried to, should be impeached. And here the Chief Justice writes, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose."
Hi, buddies. Adam is here. So, what just happened? The Supreme Court of the United States just dropped a ruling that fundamentally changes everything. This is not speculation. This is not analysis. This is the highest court in the land issuing a decision that has effectively sealed Donald Trump's fate. And the reaction outside the Capitol building right now? Absolute chaos.
Let's go!
This is the moment the storming of the Capitol was launched. The time, 12:53. The first Trump supporters reach the barricades set up in front of the Capitol, demanding to be let through. A handful of cops make a brave stand, trying to hold the line, but the angry mob overwhelms them.
Rioters are breaking through police barriers. Hundreds have been arrested. The streets of Washington are a battleground. And in the middle of all this, the constitutional machinery is grinding forward toward an outcome that just days ago seemed impossible. The Supreme Court just ruled that Trump has no immunity from criminal contempt of court. They ruled that Judge Howell's arrest warrant is constitutional and fully enforceable.
It's worth going back to some of these oral arguments in April because we to a degree saw some of this coming, with the justices already suggesting presidents need some immunity. So how does this now play out going forward?
Well, this is in no short sense, a big win for Donald Trump. It means delay. We already knew that a trial on these charges would be unlikely before the presidential election. Now it's all but impossible based on today's decision. And I want to just quote for you, it's from the dissent here. This is a Supreme Court that is sharply divided on this issue along ideological lines. This was a 6-3 decision. The conservatives issuing that decision that Terry just outlined. The liberals in this case dissenting very, very sharply in stark language. In fact, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said today that the court gives Donald Trump all the immunity that he asked for and more. She accuses the court of an atextual, ahistorical, and unjustifiable immunity test that, in her view, puts the president above the law.
They ruled that Congress has every right to impeach Trump for defying court orders, and they did it in the most dramatic way possible. A 5-4 ruling on the shadow docket that makes crystal clear what happens next. Trump can be arrested, Trump can be prosecuted, Trump can be impeached, and there is absolutely nothing he can do to stop any of it. Think about the historical weight of what just happened. The highest court in the land just said a sitting president can be arrested for contempt. They said presidential immunity does not shield a president from criminal prosecution for defying judicial authority. They declared unambiguously that a president is not above the law, and they did it in a way that sends an unmistakable signal to Congress. Move forward. Now. Impeachment is not just constitutional, it is constitutionally required. Let me walk you through exactly what happened, why this ruling is so devastating for Trump, and what happens next in what is now the most consequential constitutional crisis since the Civil War. Chief Justice Roberts wrote the order. It was brief, it was powerful, it was devastating. The order states clearly that Trump's defiance of court orders constitutes impeachable offenses under the Constitution. It states that the lower court's contempt findings stand and cannot be overturned or stayed by any higher court. It states unequivocally that no immunity shields criminal contempt against judicial orders. Stay denied. That's it. Short, simple, crystal clear. The Supreme Court said Trump loses. His legal challenge fails completely. His arrest warrant stands and is enforceable. His contempt convictions stand and are final. Now, the court did not rule unanimously. It was 5-4. And that split matters. Chief Justice Roberts sided with the more liberal justices. Roberts, who is usually conservative, usually protective of executive power, looked at the evidence in this case and said, "This is too much. This crosses a line. A president cannot defy court orders. A president must comply with judicial authority. And if a president doesn't, that constitutes an impeachable offense." The 4 conservative justices dissented. They said the ruling was too broad. They said immunity should protect Trump from criminal prosecution for actions taken as president. But they were outvoted. 5 justices said Trump is not immune. 5 justices said impeachment is absolutely appropriate. And the timing of this ruling is everything. Trump had asked for an emergency stay on his arrest warrant. He had pleaded with the Supreme Court to stop Judge Howell's ruling while he pursued his appeals. He had asked for protection from immediate arrest, and the Supreme Court said no. Stay denied. We're not protecting you. The arrest warrant goes forward. Federal marshals can arrest you. That is an absolutely devastating blow because it means Trump has no remaining protection. He has no way to delay his arrest. He has to either comply with court orders or face arrest immediately. Those are his only options. The House of Representatives moved within hours. House leaders saw the Supreme Court ruling and immediately drafted impeachment articles. Resolution 415 was filed the same day. It charges Trump with court defiance, violating court orders, oath violations, breaking his constitutional oath to uphold the Constitution, and Pentagon tampering, interfering with military operations for political purposes. Every single charge is tied to documented evidence. The Pentagon memos, Judge Howell's ruling, the Supreme Court decision, Trump's own public statements where he threatened court officers and violated court orders. The resolution pulls every piece of evidence into a cohesive impeachment case, and it cites the Supreme Court ruling as legal justification for every charge. Resolution 415 is now sitting in the House ready for an immediate vote. The House is planning to vote within 72 hours, 3 days. That is how fast this is moving. That is how seriously Congress is taking this constitutional crisis. And with 67 lawmakers already demanding Trump's resignation, with clear bipartisan support forming, with the Supreme Court having validated the entire process, the resolution is likely to pass with overwhelming margins. Trump is about to become only the 3rd president in American history to be impeached. But unlike the previous 2, this time removal is going to succeed. Meanwhile, outside the Capitol building, things are spiraling. Trump supporters are rioting in real time. Protesters are breaking through police barriers. They're chanting violent slogans. They're trying to physically storm the Capitol building. Capitol Police have made over 200 arrests for violent conduct. There is a full-scale riot happening right now outside Congress, and it's all because Trump's supporters are panicking. They understand what the Supreme Court ruling means. They understand that Trump is about to be removed from office, and they're losing their minds. These are the people who would normally defend Trump no matter what. These are the people who stuck with him through 2 impeachments. These are the people who said they'd support him even if he shot someone on Fifth Avenue, and now they're not trying to protect him. They're rioting because they're desperate and scared, and desperate people do things they wouldn't normally do. Desperate people commit violence and break the law. 200 arrests, people breaking through security fences, people trying to storm the building where Congress is meeting. All of this happening while Congress prepares to vote on impeachment. All of this happening while Trump's legal situation completely collapses. Let me give you the timeline of what happens next, because the Supreme Court ruling has set in motion a cascade of events that are going to lead to Trump's removal within days or weeks. First, the House votes on Resolution 415 within 72 hours. The Speaker calls an emergency session. Members return to Washington immediately. The vote happens. With the Supreme Court ruling validating impeachment, with bipartisan support forming, the resolution passes with overwhelming margins. Trump is impeached. Second, the Senate begins its trial immediately. They convene as a court of impeachment within days of House passage. The House presents evidence, the Pentagon memos, the Supreme Court ruling, Judge Howell's order, Trump's own statements where he threatened court officers. The evidence is overwhelming. so overwhelming that senators don't even need to debate for very long. They see it, and they know what it means. Trump violated court orders. Trump obstructed justice. Trump needs to be removed. Third, the Senate votes to convict, with bipartisan support forming, with the Supreme Court having validated the impeachment, with the evidence being absolutely overwhelming. The Senate reaches the two-thirds majority required for conviction. Trump is officially removed from office. He is no longer the president. Vance automatically becomes president under the constitutional succession clause. The constitutional crisis is essentially over. The transition of power happens. Vance takes the oath of office. The government starts to move forward under new leadership. Fourth, federal marshals move to arrest Trump. If he hasn't already been arrested, marshals take him into custody immediately after the conviction vote. He is booked into the system, processed through the criminal justice system. He becomes a criminal defendant facing trial on extremely serious federal charges. Fifth, Vance takes over as president and immediately acts to stabilize the government and the economy. He issues statements saying the constitutional process has worked, the rule of law has been upheld, the government is stable and functioning. He tells the military and law enforcement to restore order. He orders the arrest of anyone rioting or committing violence. He uses federal troops if necessary to restore order at the Capitol. He works with Congress to pass emergency economic measures to stabilize the markets. Sixth, the financial markets start to stabilize. Once Vance is president, once there's clarity about who's in charge, once the constitutional crisis is resolved, investors start coming back. The stock market starts to recover. The dollar stabilizes. Credit markets unfreeze. The economy starts to recover from the shock of Trump's arrest and impeachment and removal. Seventh, Trump's criminal trial begins in federal court. He is tried on serious felony charges: obstruction of justice, witness tampering, contempt of court. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming. The Pentagon memos are documentary evidence. Trump's own statements are evidence. His conduct is documented. He is convicted on multiple charges. He faces years in federal prison, serious prison time. Eighth, the Republican Party tries to rebuild. They try to move beyond Trump. They try to figure out what comes next politically. They try to position themselves for the midterms. The party fractures for a while because Trump's supporters are angry and demoralized, but eventually they rebuild around Vance or around some other leader. Ninth, the country starts to move forward. The immediate constitutional crisis is over. Trump is removed. Trump is facing trial. Vance is president. The government is stable. The economy is recovering. The country starts to heal from the trauma of the past few months. 10th, the Supreme Court faces questions about its legitimacy. A 5-4 ruling. Chief Justice Roberts siding with the liberal justices. A controversial decision. Trump supporters say the court is partisan. They say the court overreached. But the court stands by its ruling because the rule of law matters more than politics. First, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that Trump has no immunity from criminal contempt and that Congress can impeach him. The ruling states clearly that a president who defies court orders can be prosecuted criminally for those violations, and that Congress can impeach for defying court orders and obstructing justice. House Resolution 415 lists specific charges: court defiance, oath violations, Pentagon tampering. Each charge is tied to documented evidence: the Pentagon memos, Judge Howell's ruling, the Supreme Court decision, Trump's own public statements. The resolution cites the Supreme Court ruling as legal justification for every charge. Congress is voting on impeachment within 72 hours. The House will vote within 3 days. With the Supreme Court ruling validating the process, with bipartisan support forming, the resolution is expected to pass with overwhelming margins. The Senate will convict within a week of House passage. The evidence is overwhelming. The Supreme Court has already ruled. Bipartisan support is forming. The two-thirds majority is reachable. Trump will be arrested by federal marshals immediately after conviction. The arrest warrant is valid. The Supreme Court denied his stay. There is nothing left to appeal. Federal marshals will take him into custody. Vance becomes president and stabilizes the government. He takes the oath of office. He restores order. He stabilizes the economy. The transition of power happens quickly and peacefully. Trump faces criminal trial and likely goes to federal prison for years. The evidence against him is overwhelming. The charges are serious. The trial will result in conviction. He will serve significant prison time. Here is the bottom line. The Supreme Court just ruled that a sitting president can be arrested for contempt. They ruled that presidential immunity does not shield a president from criminal prosecution for defying judicial authority. They ruled that Congress can impeach for defying court orders. And they denied Trump's request for a stay, meaning his arrest warrant is immediately enforceable. The House has filed impeachment articles. Resolution 415 charges court defiance, oath violations, and Pentagon tampering. The House will vote within 72 hours. The Senate will likely convict within a week of House passage. Trump will be removed from office. Vance will become president. Federal marshals will arrest Trump. Trump will face criminal trial and likely go to federal prison for years. And outside the Capitol right now, there is chaos. Rioters are breaking through police barriers. Hundreds have been arrested. People are chanting violent slogans. People are trying to storm the Capitol building. Trump's supporters are panicking because they know what the Supreme Court ruling means. They know Trump is about to be removed, and they are losing their minds. But the riots will not change anything. The constitutional process will move forward. The Supreme Court has ruled. Congress is moving. The Senate is ready. Trump is finished. The system is working as designed. No one is above the law, not even the president. This is historic. This is unprecedented. This is the moment when a sitting president is removed from office through the constitutional process and faces criminal prosecution. This is the moment when the system actually works. This is the moment when the rule of law triumphs over political loyalty. This is the moment when the Constitution is upheld. And we are all watching it happen in real time. Stay tuned. The House vote is coming. The Senate trial is coming. The arrest is coming. And we are going to be right here covering every single development as it unfolds.